Hello again and welcome to Looking at Social Justice. I'm Jim Grant, your host, and it has been a privilege for now a year and a half to be sharing with you some real treasures of the Central Valley, some really wonderful people doing wonderful ministry in so many different ways. I'm thinking of Mookie Betts as we speak because, as you know, I'm from Boston and we just lost Mookie to go to the Dodgers. We're not very happy about that. It's sad when people have to move from one place where they've been really highly functioning and have to go to another team to do it all over again on the West Coast. Well, our guest today isn't Mookie Betts, but it's Zach Darrah. And you'll remember Zach Darrah from two wonderful programs we did as he was the executive director of FIRM, Fresno Interdenominational Refugee Ministry, and had been there 5 years and such wonderful work picking up where Sharon Stanley had left. Well, now we're meeting with Zach for the third time on this series, a record setter so far. Zach, you're a great guy, and you have to tell us a little bit about how hard it may have been to have to leave your great love of FIRM to move to the other great institution, the Poverello House. Tell us about anything about that move that we don't know except that you had to make it, and we're so glad you did for the Poverello.
Sure.
And we're praying FIRM winds up having another great executive director.
Yes. Well, definitely anytime you're transitioning, it's hard. However, when the opportunity kind of was brought to my attention, Cruz Avila had done a great job at Poverello House prior, and I started praying about it, talking to some folks, some people in the community, saying, hey, do you think this is something that I should pursue? And I think it was overwhelming. Yes, this is something that would be a great fit for you. Poverello House is a tremendous organization and a great place, and I think that there's a season for everything. I think it's biblically referenced, of course, as well.
And baseball.
Yes, absolutely, as well. And I think the season was just right for me to transition. I loved my time at FIRM. About 5.5 years there was tremendous. I learned so much. I grew so much in my faith and my leadership and professional skill set during my time there. Got to know so many great individuals in the community, both in our interdenominational and interfaith work, and just had a tremendous experience there, really serving the refugee community. So when this came up and things progressed and had an opportunity to have some conversations, I was excited to be at such a special place like Poverello House, and I've been there now just under 3 months.
Well, we are so glad that early in your tenure, you're able to give us that first look, 90 days, 3 months, feet are wet, you're starting to see more than you probably expected.
Sure.
Finding out the challenges that are there and all the great work that's gone on for so long. So let's talk about the Poverello and being able to talk to us, please, about the location, the facility. Place us now at the Poverello. How do we get in touch? Where is it? And basically, how do you promote the Poverello? Let's look at that for an opening thought.
Sure. So Poverello House has been serving the homeless, hurting, and hungry in our community since 1973. We are downtown, 412 F Street, off of Ventura and G is probably where most people are more familiar with, right off the freeway. Our campus there has 3 different shelter programs, our massive warehouse, our kitchen, our residential rehabilitation program. But probably what a lot of people know about where we're at Poverello House is Santa Clara Street, which has become kind of the face of our homeless community here in Fresno. Santa Clara Street is directly adjacent to our property, and it's something that I walk and drive by and have spent a lot of time on Santa Clara, getting to know the clients, working with the community about the challenges that are there. But it is a campus that is designed and driven to serve our clients first and foremost each and every day.
So once we start thinking of the Poverello, we think of the people, and then we think of the services, because they are so many. So do you want to introduce us a little bit to what is basically the Poverello, a little bit of its mission, a little bit of its history, because not everybody knows that this is not something at all new. It's a fixture. It's an institution. It is an icon of ministry. You want to walk us through the mission and the history of your beautiful ministry, the Poverello House?
Sure, sure. Our mission really is built out of our history, and so I'll start with that. You know, people who have been in Fresno long enough all know Papa Mike McGarvey. He's a legend in our community because of the kind of person that he was. And really, Mike McGarvey, his story started in San Francisco as an addicted individual who was not really sure about what he wanted out of life, got into a lot of trouble on the streets of San Francisco, and one day he came across actually a Catholic priest who operated the Poverello Cafe in the Tenderloin district of San Francisco. And one day Mike wandered in there because he actually was hoping to buy drugs there and thought that would be a good place to do that. And he encountered Father Simon, who was operating it as a safe haven for homeless there in the Tenderloin district, which was very dangerous for people on the streets. That day and that relationship changed Papa Mike's life forever. He encountered God in a whole new way. Out of that, his life, he became clean and sober, and he moved back to Fresno. He came to Fresno a few years after that experience, and when he was in Fresno, he was here to work for the Fresno Bee as a photographer. And as he was out in the community, he saw all the people on the street. And the tried and true, the real story of the roots of Poverello House was him and his wife making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and giving them out of the back of their car to homeless individuals in our community. However, it was more than just giving a sandwich from Mike. He was well known for getting to know the people as people, having relationships, knowing people's names, giving them the value and worth as people made in God's image, and that gives them worth no matter what their circumstance might be or look like on the street. And so out of that, you know, from those simple and humble beginnings, we have Poverello House today, of course, but our mission really has three different components to it that I think have all really grown out of the roots and the beginning work of Papa Mike. First and foremost is that at Poverello House, we believe in the dignity of all people. If you came on Poverello House's campus, you would notice that everyone is welcome no matter what. Whether you have a severe mental illness, whether you might look a certain way or not look a certain way, no matter what the color of your skin might be or the language that you speak, no matter if you're struggling in your addiction on the streets, you are welcome at Poverello House no matter what, every single day of the year. We believe that the dignity of every people started with Papa Mike and continues today still with how we operate at Poverello House. The second part of our mission is to enrich the lives and spirits of all who pass our way. Now that looks like a lot of different services and a lot of different components of our work each and every day, but that really was derived from Papa Mike. And what was his duty? Well, he wasn't necessarily going to perhaps change anyone's life as far as getting someone clean and sober or getting them off the streets in the early days. But for him, it was, how do I enrich this person's life today with this sandwich or with this cup of coffee or with this conversation or whatever it might have looked like. And we carry that and hold that as the centerpiece of our work, enriching the lives and spirits of all who pass our way. And so if somebody's coming in to our campus just to get a meal, they can do that every single day, 3 meals a day for the entire year. If that means they're coming in to seek shelter, to be off the streets and to help change their life in a different way, we're also there to do that. The last part of our mission, which has really been a thrill to see firsthand, is being good stewards of providential and community support. Now, I saw this at Firm before, and I tend to always feel like if I'm committed and I'm doing the work that God holds at high value, which to me is serving those who maybe are victims of injustice, those who are in need, those who are hungry, those who are thirsty in prison, those who are naked, that God will always provide the resources that we need to continue to do that work. I've seen that happen in just 3 months, literally in a meeting hours before saying, oh my goodness, we need blank, and that resource without any solicitation showing up on our doorstep, or a dollar amount when we're just short, or food when we're low on protein. A good example was our turkey drive. We were about 1,000 turkeys short.
Wow.
And we were going, man, I don't know why people aren't showing up with turkeys this year and all those kinds of things. We met as a staff, we prayed. Within 2 days, we had 900 turkeys donated to us for free. That's providential and community support.
Wow.
And I've seen that over and over in the stories that I've heard throughout the years. This has just been how God has worked with the resources at his disposal, which are many, to make sure that people in need in our community are served. And so those are the 3 parts of our mission, but they really come from the very roots of Papa Mike. We need bread to make sandwiches. All of a sudden, you had grocery stores, donating day-old bread to him to do so. Oh, well, now we need to figure out how to feed more people because this is growing. People donated building and land and property. So everything that you see at Poverello House has been given through providential and community support. And it's a really beautiful part of our story, but it continues as Papa Mike's legacy has continued at Poverello House beyond his passing a number of years back.
What's so beautiful, Zach, is that you immediately begin with Papa Mike. His legacy will endure forever.
Absolutely.
Because it was constant, it was profound, it was personal,
Yes.
and it was universal. So to begin on that tone, it is such a joy to know that after 3 months, you are already stepping after Cruz's work
Yes.
back to Mike's beginning work 40 years ago.
Absolutely.
It is still alive at F Street here down in town.
Very much so.
It's-
And, I like to tell people that his spirit is alive and well on our campus through our clients, through our staff, through the stories that we hear all of the time, through community stakeholders and partners. He, because of his humble life and his heart to serve and to bring dignity to all people, he's impacted thousands upon thousands upon thousands of individuals. And I just spoke about this actually last night at an event, that when we look at, it's interesting looking at Jesus and his 12 disciples. And if you thought about the 12 guys that Jesus would have picked out to impact the world forever, you don't necessarily put those 12 guys on a list. And I think when I was comparing that to the amazing and incredible work of Papa Mike's life and ministry, he was well known for wearing overalls and a hat, and wasn't maybe the guy right off the bat you would have said, you know who we need to start a homeless ministry in Fresno? Mike McGarvey. But because of that, he was actually the most perfect person that God would use to serve the needs in this community and to start really a movement that continues, 4 decades later. And so it's a beautiful story. I'm committed to his legacy because it's biblical, the way that he served. It's a picture of Christ's service to those that were in need in his ministry, no doubt.
Yeah, Christ and St. Francis, it's just
Absolutely.
so Franciscan.
Yes,
It's beautiful.
Yes.
To see your enthusiasm, it makes my day. So at the website, there are some really nice headers. There's some really nice images that remind us of just what's going on continually. So if we could think about one thing to begin with of a thought of where the mission is continuing going, I think it's about hunger.
Yes.
That there is this need to see that there are so many children and there are so many Californians and there are so many Fresnans hungry. So if we begin there, tell us about the ministry that began with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Tell us about how you feed people at the POV.
Yes, it's incredible. So we provided last year just about 500,000 meals in 1 year's time at Poverello House. And so that includes the meals that happen on campus every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that also includes food that we provide throughout the community, into rural communities as well that don't have those types of food resources, but also places like Marjorie Mason Center. We provide food for 2 of our homeless shelters in this community as well. And so we are kind of a central hub for feeding those that are in need throughout the entire community. Now, how that happens is really something else. So, as I mentioned in our mission, we talk about stewarding providential and community support. Most all of the food that we need to feed every mouth that we feed every year comes as a donation from this community.
Yeah.
How I said that I've seen it in just 3 months, I talked about the turkeys during the turkey drive, but it's just things like, hey, we're a little short this week on protein. It's always hard for us to get protein. That's the hardest part for us at Poverello as we're feeding individuals.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, someone calls me and says, oh, hey, there's someone here. They have 5,000 pounds of ground beef they would like to give to us. And so the food that's coming in each and every day, our executive chef, we have a professionally trained chef who makes all of the food at Poverello House. He is tremendous. There is not one meal I have seen that we serve at Poverello that I would say, oh no, I wouldn't like to eat that. We have chef quality meals being served every single day at Poverello House. And the food that comes in, the seasonings. I had an opportunity to meet the owner of Pappy's. Pappy's provides all of the seasoning for Poverello House for all of our food all throughout the year, and they provide that to us at no cost. The amount of seasoning that happens when you're making food in that, in those types of quantities is substantial.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, providential and community support. And so we have meals going out every single day. There's not a day that Poverello House is closed. In fact, I've been told since 1973, when Poverello House started, there's only one day that Poverello House has been closed, and that was the day of Papa Mike's funeral. And so since 1973, we've been feeding people every single day here in our community. And it's really something when you think about the Central Valley, right, that we're providing food all over the world, all over the country, and yet we have hunger in the way that we do here in our community. That should not be acceptable for us.
No.
And so part of that for us is that food is a central core of our business because in our ministry, because there's people that are in need right in our backyard who need a meal. And beyond that, it is that entry point of trust and relationship and rapport, which is exactly how Papa Mike modeled that service delivery kind of method. That the food is, of course, meeting that need right now, but that's going to develop that relationship that could continue to be an end result of maybe you're going to come off the street. Maybe you're going to say, now is the time where I'm going to work on my addiction, and I think being clean and sober is the pursuit that I want to begin today. But all of that starts with a meal. Cross the table.
The point that you have on your website that's really powerful, it's not just a soup kitchen, because so much grew out of the soup kitchen approach.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit more about other things that are going on at the POV. You just almost have a litany of powerful things that you might want to tell us about.
Yes, absolutely. So most people know about Poverello House with the food. I think as I began taking a tour of campus and really starting to understand, I was surprised as well. Being in this community, I've lived here for about 25 years. Of course, I knew about Poverello House and feeding people. But when you get on campus and you start to see everything that's going on, we operate 3 shelter programs on our campus. We have a men's residential rehabilitation program that does beautiful work. We actually have 12 members of our paid staff that are graduates of our residential drug rehabilitation program.
Wow.
Yes, that's about a quarter of our entire team comes out of our own drug rehabilitation program on campus. That program was started and designed through Papa Mike's ministry and partners over the decades. It's a beautiful program. We also have navigation services on our campus through a program called Map Point. This is funded by the Department of Behavioral Health. This is the front door of services for people in our community who are in need. We see approximately 80 to 90 individuals per day, and these are people who are coming for help. They're either homeless or they are at risk of homelessness or they have other needs for them and their families. They see a case manager that day. We're navigating them into housing and connecting them to resources that they need. We also, in partnership with St. Agnes, have a clinic that operates 5 days a week with doctors and dentists. We do surgeries. We do everything you could imagine, x-rays and everything. It's all 100% free to clients who are coming in. And there's really just kind of a wraparound service model that exists on the campus at Poverello House that is beyond the food, of course. We obviously provide clothing. Laundry and showers are another major part of our work. We do mail. We have a mail room where we are a mail room for 600 individuals who, obviously, if you're homeless or transient, it's challenging to get regular mail. And for a lot of folks, whether it's government mail, whether it's mail from their family, for some people, that's the only way they connect with their family. It's very important to have a place where you can collect your mail. And so we really have a kind of a well thought out design of what does someone who's struggling with homelessness, what do they need? We have a kennel on site. We're low barrier. We don't want there to be any barriers for someone to come and seek services. So if you have 3 dogs and you have 3 carts full of items, we want you to come to Poverello House and we want to do whatever we can to get you off the street. And so it's a really beautiful and special place. It's an honor. It's humbling to be in places like that, and I felt the same way at Firm. Having the opportunity to follow Sharon Stanley and inheriting an organization with such a stellar reputation is something that's, I didn't do anything, I didn't work for any of that. And then to be able to go to Poverello House and to follow after the footsteps of course, Papa Mike, with a reputation and an organization that is like Poverello House in our community it's humbling, and it creates a sense of real responsibility in my heart to be able to carry on the legacy of these tremendous leaders who laid the foundations of what these organizations have become today in Fresno. So
we've got about 4 minutes, so I want to leave time for you to talk about how people can get involved. There's a tremendous commitment that the staff does and your volunteers. Tell us how we could get involved and support what you're doing.
So we have approximately 1,000 volunteers a month that serve at Poverello House. Poverello House would not be able to do what we do without those individuals who are coming every single day, 7 days a week. Folks come and they serve in the kitchen. So I was just in the kitchen with some volunteers this week who all they did for a few hours was cut onions. That's an important task in our kitchen. Prepping the vegetables, prepping the meat, prepping everything that goes into the meals. We also have people who come and make sandwiches for the Patty Project, which serves in partnership with Every Neighborhood Partnership for their Saturday sports program. We provide all of the meals for that, sandwiches and snacks and drinks. We put all of those together at Poverello House. Volunteers do that. Sorting in the warehouse, sorting clothing, sorting the canned foods and other items that are coming in. There are many, many opportunities for people to be involved. The best way to get involved, you can of course go to our website at www.poverellohouse.org, and that's Poverello house.org, and you can click on volunteer and it gives you the directions what to do there. You can always also call us at 498-6988, and you can ask for Corey, who is our volunteer coordinator, and he will get you all signed up and ready to go. But pretty much, we're very flexible. We have opportunities all throughout the day, morning, noon, and night, weekends, and we would love to have more people come to serve, because it really is the only way that Poverello House is able to do what we do.
One thing that we're going to leave for another show is your goals and aspirations for the future. But one thing I want to fit in today is the ongoing effort of the Poverello to address homelessness in Fresno. So we've got about a minute and a half. What can we do to partner with your own efforts and that of the POV to address homelessness?
Yes, part of that would certainly be partnering with us in resources, whether that's time, talents, or treasures, whether those are dollars or whether that's time. But one of the focuses for me this year in 2020 is to look at Santa Clara Street. That's right in our backyard. And Poverello House is going to do everything in our power to make sure that those individuals are served and navigated off of the streets. And that's already starting even now, and I've only been there less than 3 months. And we're dedicated to that, and we'd love anybody's help in making that a reality.
What's one future hope, dream, goal, objective that you see in perhaps 2020, 2021, 2022?
I think we want to see our community with what they call functional zero, which means that if anybody is homeless on our streets in Fresno, that there's a place for them to be, and that there's a structure that is designed to make sure that people are navigated off of the street. And Poverello House has to be part of that, but it has to be a partnership with all of the service providers in our community, those such as Fresno Rescue Mission, of course Marjorie Mason Center, of course Fresno Police Department, the city, the county. We're only going to be successful in partnership together, and I think the Central Valley, we know how to do that. And so I'm looking forward and I'm excited. I hope that I can be a catalyst to what is ahead in our community, and I'll do everything I can to see that happen here.
You are doing it already, Zach. We're so glad that you gave us this first interview. We'll have you back in a little bit of time to do more. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Till then, God bless.